Hi, my name is Rob DeRusso, and this is my partner Casper. Welcome to the first episode of Dead on Arrival, where we talk about everything that's Walking Dead. And the new season just started, season 7, and it was friggin' amazing. It was horrifying, it was shocking, it was disturbing. What was your take on it?
Um, it was everything I wanted it to be and a little bit more. Honestly, uh, I know there are a lot of fans out there right now that they're just up in arms about about who got taken out. And losing Glenn. Look, I realize we're down to like three people from the original crew, man. And you have to expect that with a show like this and with the comic book series. For those who are fans of the comic book series, um, Glenn didn't last this long. So kudos to him, man, for being such an intriguing character on the show that the producers and everyone felt like this was somebody they had to carry through to a greater extent. And of course they're playing the storyline of the comic book to some degree, um, you know, but they're playing it in a different way, of course, with any television show. But I think they're doing it justice, and I think they're doing a great job. Um, the 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 twist and turn, the shocker for most people, for myself included, um, Abraham gets taken out first, boom, and we're like, oh, well, I kind of expected that. I kind of saw that. Where everybody's like, oh, well, at least it wasn't Glenn. And then we get a little further down the road, and of course, Daryl shows his ass, man. But I don't blame him. Fuck that shit, man. I'm a Daryl. There's a lot of Daryls out there that just, you don't know when to fucking quit, and then Glenn gets taken out, and we're all like, "Holy shit, that just happened!" Oh God.
Yeah, I got my Walking Dead compendium right here. I actually just finished this the other night, and I'm gonna be getting the third one. My girlfriend just bought me the third one. Like, I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and she's like, "Hey, babe, I love you," and she sends me a screenshot of the Amazon order of Compendium 3. So, and I know Compendium 3 has the start of the Negan arc, which I'm kind of still behind on, but I just like binge read this book. Like, and I'm gonna tell you, there's some the comic is very similar to the show. I mean, there are some differences.
Hmm.
Like my girlfriend is a huge Daryl fan. Like, what woman isn't? But she's also a big Negan fan. And like I said, a lot of women love Negan too. And here's the thing: I told her that Daryl and Merle are not in the comic book, and
Hmm.
she's like, "Really? I mean, not too many people know that, but Daryl and Merle were made for TV."
Yeah, and they were great characters. They were a great introduction, and an addition to what we those of us who are fans of the comic and the I should stop calling it a comic. This is a graphic novel series, okay? This is not your average Superman, Batman, Spider-Man comic. This is a graphic novel. It tells a story beyond just what you see in cells and frames in the picture format of a normal comic book. Um, so I guess anybody that's a stickler for that sort of thing, let's be clear about that. This is a graphic novel, and it's a very well done graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It's a story that just there's so much drama and so much feeling put into it, and it's meant to really play at your emotions from the standpoint of the graphic novel. But then to have it as a TV show and to see these guys doing it so well and just doing so much justice to what those of us who are fans of the graphic novel have come to love about it is just amazing. It's a wonderful thing to see.
Yeah. Speaking of playing on emotions, you know, I think the show does well when it comes to playing emotions. Like when you look at Negan, he not doesn't only physically abuse you, he fucks with you. He mentally abuses you. Like, look how
Hmm.
badly he broke down Rick. And yeah, people can say, yeah, it was shocking to see Abraham being beaten by Lucille. He was it. And then, I kind of knew the Glenn thing was going to happen because I didn't think they were going to deviate from the comic. But what really, really disturbed me and really dropped my mouth wasn't those two victims get beaten. What really disturbed me was how Negan was fucking with Rick about cutting off Carl's arm. I'm like, that is a bridge too far. Like, I was like shocked. I was like disgusted. I was like horrified by that. And I'm like, and not only was it like horrifying, but he's like, I'm not doing shit. He's like, I want you to cut off your son's arm. And just the sheer horror of that was like unnerving. It was just unnerving. I mean, these guys, I can't believe AMC gets away with what they get away with.
Yeah, it's I tell people all the time. I have friends that are not fans of The Walking Dead, and they like they like a whole myriad of other shows. And one of the things I've always said since the show began was, TNT's motto is "We know drama," and I'm like, have you even fucking seen The Walking Dead? You kidding me? You don't know drama. This is a grown up soap opera for people who are into the horror and suspense genre. It's you're gonna be there every Sunday night, or if you can't be there, you're gonna record it. You're gonna be looking for these episodes and wanting to find out what's going with these people.
Right. I think soap opera has a negative connotation to it. I mean, I don't really look at it as a soap opera. I consider it like a drama, something that's like very unnerving, because when you're put into this world, that world, I mean, imagine being in that world, it just beats you down to no end.
Well, I watched my grandmother. She was a huge soap opera fan, and I watched her get the same way about her shows. She
Yeah.
was she was in that world. She related to those people. She felt like they were family. She felt like that was, she had emotional attachments with those people, and I feel sort of the same way with the show. And I haven't felt that way with a lot of other shows. I've enjoyed a lot of shows and watched a lot of series front to back. But I've never felt the sort of connection with this show that I have. In fact, to backtrack a little bit, the the moment where Rick bit a man's fucking throat out to save his son, that's been my favorite moment of any of the shows so far. I mean, even up to Negan, and Negan is an amazing character, and the way that they've done him is amazing. But I remember that passion and that just intenseness from Rick at that point, and I feel we're gonna see it again with Negan.
You know what? The actor that plays Negan, I didn't even know who he was. Like, I've never seen him before until the season finale of season 6. And let me tell you something. When they were thinking about casting Negan, I said it's gonna be somebody who's a really good actor. And you know who I originally wanted for Negan? I wanted John Hamm from Mad Men. I thought John Hamm would have been a good Negan. Matter of fact, Henry Rollins actually auditioned for that part, and he didn't get it. And what's funny is Robert Kirkman actually modeled Negan after Henry Rollins. If you didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. I've actually known the actor that plays Negan from another show I've watched from Supernatural.
Yeah.
He's actually the father of the Winchester boys
Yeah.
in that show, and he did a great job in that role. And I knew when I saw that he was going to be playing the part of Negan, I knew that we could expect really good things out of him because he did such a great role as the Winchester's father that it was just one of those. I've seen him in those moments of just pure unadulterated fury, and I really felt like he could pull it off and do it justice, and he certainly has so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic actor. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a fantastic actor. Like, I was like, when I first saw him come out of the trailer and he goes, "Are we pissing our pants yet?" It's like, this guy has this nailed. Like, he has Negan nailed. And one thing I love about Negan compared to the governor, because I didn't really care for the governor that much. I mean, I'm not saying David Morrissey was a bad actor, but Negan takes it to a whole new level. Like, Negan is far more sadistic than the governor.
Well,
I mean,
the difference is, from my point of view, is this: the governor was still conflicted within himself. He still had some shred of ethicacy and morality about him. Negan has none of that.
right,
Negan has seen the world turn to shit, and he's going with the fucking flow, and he let it
right.
all. So,
Right. It's kind of like that line that Shane said, that Dale said to Shane in season 2. You belong in this world, and he goes, at least I know at least when the world didn't go shit, I didn't let it take it down with me.
mhm. Well, and we've seen that conflict within our own group, with Carol. Carol is in the grips of that conflict now. Trying not to lose her humanity, in order to save the people that she loves, and knowing that you're going to have to make the difficult decisions to do that. Um, so one of the things I wanted to touch on, a little bit of a hopefully a sneak preview. Hopefully, I'm right here. Um, I think we're going to get introduced to a very the I want to say the opposite mirror image of Negan's group, with the group that Carol and
Oh, the kingdom.
yeah, the group that she's run into now. I think we're going to see that opposite mirror image of Negan's
Yeah.
group, the people who have they're trying to maintain in this world. So it's going to be interesting because those two groups, if we're lucky, we're going to see that clash. Um, so it's going to be an interest. I think this season is going to be very interesting. I don't think we're going to get as far into it as I'd like to see it go, but I think we're going to have some very very compelling twists and turns
Um,
in the road ahead.
yeah, the character Negan, even in the comic book, but let's talk about Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Is like, I don't mean to sound sick, but then again, I do have a dark sense of humor. Um, I like him. He's funny. Like, he's funny in a sadistic way, which I really enjoy. Like, every time he fucked with Rick, I was smiling and laughing. I know that's a terrible thing to say. I mean, the only time I didn't laugh at him was when he was like fucking with Rick about Carl. That's a little too far for me. But it was, I can see why they did, because he wants to break Rick down. He wants to break down Rick so badly that Rick is gonna have no choice but to obey him. I mean, seriously, and like, the guy is just like off the chain sadistic.
Well, he's an absolutist. His viewpoint is you will either follow me and do what I say, or you will die. There's no in between. There's
Mm-hmm.
no fucking there's no middle ground with Negan. You're either going to do what he says, or he is going to do everything he possibly can to kill you. And
You know,
he doesn't give a fuck about dying himself, and that's what makes a character like Negan scary. Like, he knows he could go at any fucking minute, and he's going with it. He's going to go as far as he can, as long as he can, because he knows it could end at any minute, and that's the type of person you should be afraid of, someone who just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
one part that made me laugh, and I know, once again, I have a dark sense of humor, was when the part where he's driving the RV and he hits into a walker, and he says to Rick, "Does that remind you of somebody you know?" I was like, he's just like fucking with Rick to no end. Like, just like really rubbing it in on him. Like, yeah, you see, look what I did, and it's going to be worse. You really need to think about what could happen if you don't, if you keep on acting like a tough guy. Because, like, I mean, like I said, I mean, this guy is just crazy. And a lot of people, I've been reading a lot of comments online about the whole Negan thing, and a lot of fans are fucking pissed at Negan. Like, a lot of fans want this guy dead. And I don't know, I haven't really gotten to the Negan arc in the comic book, but I'm pretty sure Negan's gonna last for at least a couple seasons.
Negan's going to be around for a little bit, but
Yeah.
when he goes down, it's
Well,
going to
don't
be
don't
one of
don't
the
don't
most
tell me.
epic
Don't
things.
don't tell me.
No, no, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. And here's the other thing: I can't know what's going to happen because they have deviated enough here that anything's possible. But I will say that they have no other option. When Negan goes down, it's going to be one of the most epically brutal things we have seen in the show to date. It's going to be just beyond epic. And I don't. Here's a prediction for me. I don't think Rick's going to be the one to do it.
Who I think is going to do it? I think it's Maggie. I think Maggie is like, and I noticed this when I was actually watching the episode tonight before we did this, and I think Maggie wants revenge. I think Maggie really wants revenge, which is kind of a bad thing because I mean, she's really weak right now. I'm not saying like she's weak, like a weak character, but she's physically weak. Like I don't even know if she even had a miscarriage, but she's not in the best health right now to try to take on Negan. And plus, the guy has a fucking army for Christ's sakes. I mean, he has this huge army, and I don't know. I mean, my guess is maybe these communities are going to band together to help Rick fight off Negan. I mean, maybe this is where the all-out war story arc comes into play.
Well, you're right that Negan has an army, but it's one of those issues where you smite the shepherd and the sheep will fucking scatter. So they don't have to take on an army; they have to take out Negan, and that's the point where the tower will crumble, because those people are only united out of fear, and I guess some level of respect based in fear for Negan, and without him, they're going to be a little lost. So we'll see what happens. It's gonna definitely be an amazing season.
I don't know if it was a good idea for Daryl to do what he did. Like that kind of just fucked Glenn over badly. Like a lot of people are like mad about that. They're like, "Well, good job, Daryl. You just got Glenn killed."
Oh yeah, I was watching. Do you watch The Talking Dead after The
Yes,
Walking
I
Dead?
did. Yeah, and nobody cared about it. They forgive him for it. It's like the guy could do no wrong.
Well, but at the same point, Norman Reedus talking about Daryl's character says, he is just distraught about it. He feels that. He understands that his actions contributed to that. So, you know, I, Daryl's gonna be at a point where it's just gonna be very difficult emotionally for him. But Daryl's also when it comes down to the fight or flight response, Daryl's a fighter. That's just who he is.
I also like the part where he says to Dwight, "Load him up," and then and then he fucks a Ricky again. He's like, "I like him. He's mine." It's like, what the hell? Like, what's he gonna try to do? Try to recruit Daryl onto his side? I mean, would that even happen? Because Daryl is so faithful to Rick, like they're brothers.
Yeah, I I honestly don't know what Negan's thought process is there, but I also feel like um, the one thing that every group that they've come up against, their downfall has been the fact that they don't understand these people. They don't understand what they've been through. They don't understand where they're at. And they write them off as just another group of survivors who have happened to make it through to this point. Probably out of 60% luck, 75, 80% luck, which is not the case. They have banded together and become an amazing force to be reckoned with. Um,
Right. Did you see the look on Carl's face when after Negan beat Glenn? He was pissed. Like if you look at Carl's face, he had a very pissed look on him. Like I'm willing to bet Carl's gonna try to do something to Negan. Like I'm willing to bet that he's gonna at least try to take out some of Negan's men.
well, yeah,
That's my prediction.
Carl's been at that point where he's just about to lose it. You know, um, kind of fought back from it and then teetered on it. Carl's growing up in this environment. Is just really fucked with that kid's head. And I just like to say that the young man that plays Carl, a fucking awesome job, great actor.
Mm-hmm.
He amazes me on screen. Um, and I feel his character. I feel that he's in that role, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
I think even Michonne, who's another character I absolutely love. I love Michonne. It's like she seems powerful too. Like she even said to Negan, "Look, we understand. We get it." And he's like, "Well, you understand, but I don't think Rick does." I mean, Michonne is usually a badass. But once again, you go into this one area where all your weapons are taken away, and you're outnumbered, and you got this madman who's threatening to beat one of your group members, it's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, and you're gonna try and do what it takes to get through it. If you can live for another day, you still have a chance to fight. And I think that's Michonne's thinking. Let's end this now, and then we'll be back to address it later. I don't think she's one to just let it go or give up. I don't think Rick's that way either. Um, but at this point, it's that point where um, the the awesome force meets an immovable object. It's just we're at an
Oh, did you
impasse.
see? Right. Did you see the trailer? I mean, preview for the next episode. I mean, it shows Rick in a church, and he's like, "I'm no longer in charge. Negan's in charge." Like, it's like he's already, capitulating towards Negan already.
I think they spliced that together to intentionally take it out of context for us.
Okay.
I get that feeling. I could be totally wrong. That could be exactly what he says. But I get the feeling that they've spliced that together a bit just to intentionally mislead us.
See,
Um,
I think more people are gonna die because look what he said at the end of the episode. He's like, "We'll be back in a week for our first offering." Now you look at the group. The group barely has any food because they had to, go to the hilltop. I mean, they barely have anything, and now they have to give Negan half of everything that they have.
so one of the questions for me is, um, they have the recipe to make bullets now. So
Hmm.
how does that come into play? They have the recipes and the space. They found a place to actually do the work. So I wonder how that's going to come into play. Are they going to be, trading munitions to Negan as an offering? Um, Very questionable. Do you want to arm the man who has your life in your hands? At the same time, can you overarm yourself? Can you give yourself an abundance of ammunition to be on the upper hand? But I think as long as Negan and his group has Daryl, that we're going to see some level of capitulation from Rick and his group. Um, and I think that's what we saw with the you know the trailer for next season, the little bit of preview for next episode. We saw them drag Daryl out there, just like, hey, we still got your fucker. Like, what are you gonna do? Where's our shit?
Right. And another thing that disturbed me was when he says to Rick, "I will send you pieces of Darrow to your front doorstep." He goes, "Better yet, I'll have you do it for me." It's like that's just sadistic. Like that. I mean, that is really disturbing. I mean, you know what? You know what I really want to talk about is that a lot of these parents, and I posted this on my Facebook. A lot of parents are like pissed off about this show because they're saying that this last episode was too violent. It went too far. It's like, don't fucking let your kids watch The Walking Dead. I mean, there's a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah,
There's a
this is
disclaimer at the
targeted to
beginning.
children. It's not appropriate for children. I don't let my kids watch this show at all. Like, they're not going to see this. They're not going to be in the room while I'm watching this. This is a show that's meant for adults and adults who can
Mm-hmm.
understand um, the sort of downfall of humanity that's being played out here, and
Mm-hmm.
how low people can sink. And we understand that this is humanity at its worst. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we can understand that, but it's not something you should invite your kids to try and grasp.
My
It's beyond them.
Right. My brother's girlfriend lets her son watch The Walking Dead, but we were talking about this the other day, and I said to Kara, "I was like, this last episode was disturbing." Like, she's like, "I agree, Rob, and I'm not going to let my son watch that episode. Like, it's really disturbing." Like, my girlfriend is like hasn't even seen the season finale yet, and I keep on telling her, "Babe, you got to see the season finale so we can start discussing." And I was talking to her today. I was like, I told her, Marnie, this past episode is dark. It is dark. I mean,
Yeah, they
what?
definitely took it to a whole nother level with this past episode. And I think that's unfortunately that's kind of what you have to do with a show like this. You have to push the envelope. You can't keep giving the same things. You know, we thought that slitting people's throats in a fucking cattle trough was
Yeah.
brutal. You know, and now here we are at this point. And we're like, well, shit, man. They swung for the fences with this one and fucking knocked a homer. You
Well,
know.
it's funny you say that because I brought that point to my girlfriend today. I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone. It's like, Marnie, I was like, do you remember season 5 where they opened up a season 5 with the kill room and they were hitting people off the head with bats and slitting their throats? I was like, even when season 5 came out, I thought that was pushing the limit. I mean, you're right. They just took it to a whole new level. I mean, there are even people that don't even want to watch the show anymore because it was so disturbing.
What? Yeah, I think as adults, we all have to come to grips with the idea that we don't know how far that people can be pushed. You know, it's something we forget in our everyday lives is that people can be pushed um, to a point where they lose their humanity. You know, and I think that's one of those things that yes, it's dark, it's violent, it's brutal, um, but it reminds us that we can be pushed. We can be pushed to terrible, terrible extremes.
Right.
Um,
If you look at the Glenn scene where he's all bloodied and he's got his head split open, it's like that's really graphic and they really stuck true to the comic book on that part. And here's the thing, okay? A lot of these Walking Dead fans, I don't even want to call them fans anymore because a fan stands by the show no matter what. A lot of these people I've talked to, they're like so upset about Glenn that they don't even want to watch the show anymore. They're like, nope, you just killed off one of my favorite characters. You know, I'm not watching one. That's kind of stupid. That's like going to a movie theater and watching a movie and seeing one of your favorite characters die and then walking out the movie theater door because you don't like what just happened instead of seeing what's going to happen next.
well, you know, in sort of an analogy to that, like when I watched the last Star Wars movie, the way Han Solo goes out, I'm just like I was just upset, man. But I didn't get up and walk out. You know, it's like, well, let's see what happens here. Like we're leading up to some stuff, but I felt like it was terrible. You know,
It
I felt
was
like that was a
terrible.
horrible, horrible way for Han to go out. You know, I get the emotional aspect of it and what they were playing towards, but it didn't hit that note for me. What it hit for me was Han went out like a bitch, and that ain't Han. You know,
Hmm.
it killed me. So in the same way, like when people get upset like that, I'm like, dude, look, they can't last forever. They can't.
But right, but
You
these are
know.
also people who have never read the comic book because I've been saying since the season finale it was going to be Glenn. I was like, I already knew off the bat it was going to be Glenn. I didn't know it was going to be Abraham too, but I definitely knew that Glenn was going to get it because I didn't think they were going to deviate from the comic book. Like, I mean, if they did not kill off Glenn, they would have to rewrite the whole damn story. Like, I'm talking like tons of rewriting. Am I right when I say that?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's integral to who Maggie is supposed to become, at least in terms of the graphic novel, because you know, a lot of people don't realize they look at Rick as like the main character, and you know, they overlook what an integral part Maggie is to that dynamic, and especially within the graphic novel, she is. Um, I don't want to ruin anything for you before you get to read the third compendium because it's just
Well, I know she
you'll
becomes leader of the Hilltop. I know some things.
yeah you'll see just how amazing and how integral to the whole thing that Maggie really is. So you know it's just it's one of those things. Without losing Glenn, Maggie doesn't become the person she needs to be, you know, at least from the standpoint of if you've followed the graphic novels and stuff, you know, that's it. It has to happen in order for her to develop the way that she's supposed to.
Yeah, and here's the
Um,
thing: no matter what character you kill off, people are gonna get upset. Like now, imagine if that was Daryl. People would have fucking lost their minds if that was Daryl.
I'm going to make the prediction that Daryl doesn't make it too much longer.
And why do you say that?
I just one of the things is Norman Reedus has a lot of things on his plate right now, And I think that's going to contribute to how much time he can really devote to the show. But I think another thing is Daryl was a character that was introduced, like you said, outside of the scope of the graphic novel. He wasn't there, so his character is honestly a throwaway character at any point in time.
Hmm.
And he could have been taken out in season one. I mean, he's always been a potentially throwaway character. Um, and like I said, Norman Reedus has so many other things on his plate. I feel like his character is not going to last that much longer.
But that's going to piss off a lot of people. And would AMC even have the guts to do that? Because when you really think about it, Daryl was their cash cow. Now, I really hate when people are like, well, I'm not going to watch the show anymore if they kill off Daryl. It's like, how are you a fan if you're not going to stick by the show? Like, I have seen every single season. I have seen every single episode. I'm really loving the comic right now. I'm really loving the comic, and I'm going to tell you guys, anybody watching this, if you think the show is dark, the comic is way darker, like so much darker than the TV show.
Well, I hope that the impending lawsuit from the other creator of the graphic novel is not going to.
Frank Darabont?
Yeah, I hope that's not going to impact the show any, because he was removed as an executive producer from the show, so now he's filing lawsuit and whatnot. So my hope is that doesn't impact the show in any way, but you never know. It may come back to have an impact, which would be sad. This is a great show. I don't think anybody wants to mess it up in any way, but you never know.
Right.
People's egos get hurt, and they just they tend to not really think things through as far as beyond themselves.
Well, I think personally, and my brother's girlfriend was telling me this, that I think Greg Nicotero said that there's going to be at least 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. I mean, this could go on for another 5 more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, it definitely can. I also I think that one of the things I've really thought about, since the show started is how much it's brought AMC to the forefront of what they're doing, and how much it's allowed them to push other boundaries. I'm also a big fan of Preacher, and
that's
I
a
love
good
the
show,
show.
actually.
Yeah, love the show, love the graphic novel. I mean, it's just it's another one of those where they pulled something and they said, hey, nobody else is going to do this, let's do it. And I think this show is what has really opened the door to that. AMC's had some really interesting shows in the past. Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and whatnot, but this show is on a whole different level than those shows, and I think it really just opened the door up for AMC to really just jump out there and say, hey, we want to do these shows that nobody else is really willing to do.
See, I like Breaking Bad. I thought Breaking Bad was a really good show, but I can't get into Better Call Saul. I just cannot get into it. I really tried to. I mean, I've never even seen Mad Men, and my girlfriend was telling me that I should stop watching it because it's not a bad show.
No, it's a really good show. It's a period piece, of course, from the 50s. So
I thought it was the 60s.
It may be the 60s.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that it is a period piece, and you have to understand that. You have to understand that you're gonna see and hear some things there that in today's society are just like, whoa, fuck, man, people don't act like that. But hey, in the 50s and 60s, yeah, they did. That's exactly how they fucking acted. The level of misogyny and stuff, and it's one of those that can be upsetting for a lot of people, and then other people are like, well, it's a period piece where we're delving back into our past, and this is a very realistic look at it. In the same way, we're when we talk about The Walking Dead, we're talking about a not so distant future or even present tense that could have gone differently, and we're looking at, you know, an emotional roller coaster of what people could go through in a post-apocalyptic situation. I mean, you could take the whole zombie scenario. I mean, it could just be some sort of, fucked up virus that makes people go crazy, and it would still be a very similar situation. You could still play on that. Some movies I really like, 28 Days Later, 28 Months Later, those two movies are just it's a whole different take on the same sort of scenario. What happens when society breaks down? You know?
I don't really care for Fear the Walking Dead because I don't know. I tried watching it, and I watched all of season 1 and half of season 2. I can't get into it. It's just not. It's not a very good show. I don't know why they decided to do it. I mean, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that got canceled because the problem I take with Fear the Walking Dead is that number one, it's boring. Number two, the characters are unrelatable. Like, if you look at the characters from the original show, like Glenn, all right, when Glenn died, you felt that loss. You can relate to Glenn. Glenn is a very memorable character. These characters, and I don't even know their names because that's how disinterested I am. I think Nick was a heroin addict or something, the drug addict, but
Yeah.
I just can't get into it. And I have a friend of mine, and I don't understand this. I've been trying to get her to watch The Walking Dead, like the regular show, and she's not a bit interested, but she likes Fear the Walking Dead. And I don't get that because Fear is just a bad show. Like I'm not gonna record it anymore. Like I deleted all my recordings of Fear, and I didn't even get to watch the second half of season 2 because I just can't get into it. Like, you ever watch a show, like no matter how much you try to get into a show, you just cannot get into it?
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy Fear, just because it's a different dynamic, but I do think that one of the areas where they've really not necessarily failed, but just not done a great job is the character development. I mean, because like you say, you don't relate to those characters and feel them in the same way that we do with um, the regular Walking Dead show. So um, I think it's meant to appeal to a different demographic. So, a different group of people who might not want the same sort of interaction that we get from The Walking Dead, but still are interested in sort of a dramatic, a dramatic and emotional show, because it is very dramatic. It is very emotional. It's just like I said, and like you made the point. It's just that the character development is very lacking there. Um, and I can't say that I would just be devastated about anyone dying off that show. I actually enjoyed the what was it, Flight 365
Mm-hmm.
little webisodes
Mm-hmm.
that were kind of tied it all together, between the two shows, and that for me was, even better than Fear the Walking Dead in my opinion. Um, it's kind of sad for me that we won't get any more of those, because that storyline is already played out into Fear the Walking Dead. So
Yeah. Another thing I don't like about the show is that the story just dragged. I mean, it was, and I really wanted to like the show. Like, I remember when they announced it, I was like, oh, great. That's awesome. A sister show to The Walking Dead, like a companion. And I really, really wanted to like this show, but I just couldn't get into it. It's like it was boring. Now, I understand that it's a prequel to The Walking Dead. Like, it basically shows the start of the outbreak and everything, but I don't know. I mean, I can't watch a show where the characters are unrelatable and you just don't care about the characters.
well, I think that it offers that. I don't necessarily think it'll just get out and out canceled, without any sort of conclusion. I think we may see some of those, some of the characters from Fear actually, cross over and make it into The Walking Dead, and maybe
Oh,
their
you think
character
there'll be
will
a
die off
crossover?
there. I think we'll see some sort of crossover at some point. I think we'll see some characters may make it there. Possibly Nick will show up there, because Nick is probably the best character on Fear the Walking Dead. Um, and he's, for me, the most relatable just because you know, I've been through some shit in my life that's very relatable to what he's been through before the outbreak. So we'll see what happens though. You know, I could be absolutely wrong. They could just cancel it out of the blue. You know.
And then here's another thing. It's like you don't really have villains in the Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, when you had season 1 and 2, Shane was the protagonist, and season 3 and 4 you had the governor. Season 5, I'm sorry, you had the governor. You had a bunch of protagonists in season 4. You had the governor who died in season 4. You had the claimers, which were the people that Rick, killed. He bit into Joe's neck and ripped his throat out. You have the Terminus people at the end of season 4 that captured them from a boxcar. In season 5 you have the Terminus people. I don't know if you want to call it Dawn the officer that has Beth in captivity. I don't know if you want to call her as a villain. But you have season 5. You got the cannibals. You got Dawn. And then you have the wolves towards the end of season 5, and then the beginning of season 6, you got the wolves, and then you have, the Sabers and Negan. It's like these villains get worse and worse and worse as each season goes by. When you really think about it.
We're as someone who does follow both shows, we're seeing that development come about with Fear the Walking Dead now. Nick's actually been introduced to a group that he's hanging out with, and there is a sort of villain side that they're dealing with right now. I don't think it's on the level of anything we've seen from the regular Walking Dead show, but they're trying to do something there, and of course it's something totally different. So, like I said, I think it's meant to appeal to a different demographic and a different group of people than what we're what we see from your typical Walking Dead fan.
I'm just wondering if they can if Robert Kirkman. I mean, Negan's a current villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a current villain even in the comic book, correct?
Yeah, as far as it's gone, yeah.
So I'm wondering if they kill off Negan, is Robert Kirkman going to create a new villain? How can you get worse than Negan? Can you even get worse than Negan at all? Or maybe even at the same level as Negan?
I'm honestly not sure. It's very questionable. How do you top a man like that? I'm not sure. Not sure if they're going to be able to, or if they even want to. How long they'll play Negan's part out. So I think we'll all just have to wait and see.
Another part that kind of bothered me in this new past episode is when he threw Rick's axe out the trailer. He's like, "Go get my axe." It's like, great. Now this poor guy's got to fight off a bunch of walkers.
Well, he's been fighting off walkers. I don't think.
Did I lose you? Hello? All right, well, I guess we lost Casper. Maybe he'll be back. But anyhow, I'm just here. Maybe I can invite him back in. Now that I'm here, if you guys haven't never seen The Walking Dead, you're definitely missing out. I'm gonna see if I can get Casper back in. He must have lagged out. When I did Beyond Gods, this is always a problem. I'm going on Facebook right now, see if I can get him in. I got messages, so let me check my messages. And then we got dead air here. I don't even know what to say here because Casper is not in the room. And he's not online. Casper, where did you go? Oh, man. We lost Casper. Let me see if I can send him the link. I mean, I can't really carry the show by myself, so let's see if I can get him back in here. Whew. Oh, he came back online. Yeah, he's messaging me right now. Hopefully he'll be back in. I thought I was the one that was going to be lagging out. He's writing a message to me. Hang on. I guess we won't have Casper back on. Okay, well, I guess I should end the show then. I'm sorry. I said we are going to go an hour, but we didn't get to do that. Maybe we can have a better episode next week. But yeah, if you guys have not seen Walking Dead, they have it on Netflix. You can go to Netflix and you can go 1 through 6. Like they have season 1 through 6, and you should definitely check it out. I mean, it's a really good show. Like I'm like addicted. Like I'm so addicted to The Walking Dead. It's not funny. It's just a great show. I mean, I highly recommend it. I mean, you won't be sorry. It's a really good show. So we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully, if Casper can get his internet back up, because he just messaged me and told me that his internet went down. So this is Rob, and I'll speak for Casper. This is Rob and Casper from Dead Arrival saying have a good night.